Thanks for your patience. We always need a second to go live, and yeah, we're not there yet.
It's live. We're live.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Phil Ahrens. I'm the acting president of the Public Design Commission. Today's meeting is being held in person at City Hall. Commissioner Tisch is participating remotely at 116 East 55th Street in New York. Members of the public can either attend in person or remotely. We are now commencing the committee meeting. The only item is the conceptual review for the construction of the Shirley Chisholm Recreation Center at 3002 Foster Avenue in Brooklyn. When you're ready, you can start. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Michaela Magno, and I am the director of Project Excellence at the Department of Design and Construction. I just want to give a brief introduction to the Shirley Chisholm Recreation Center, which I am here to say thank you for allowing us this opportunity. DDC is partnered with the Department of Recreation to deliver this very important critical asset to the community of East Flatbush. We are so proud of this opportunity and the resource. Sorry. We're so proud of this opportunity to be able to work on this project, to work with the community in East Flatbush, and to work with the design build team that has been brought on board through the Department of Design and Construction and all the efforts over the past couple of years. So at this moment, I will pass it on to Elizabeth Kennedy, who will take you through the context and give you another introduction of Shirley Chisholm.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. I'm gonna rely on you to do this, because I can only do one thing at a time. Do we have the first? This is an amazingly important project for Central Brooklyn. This map illustrates the existing recreation centers and the sort of recreation center desert that we have in Central Brooklyn, and how the proposed Shirley Chisholm Recreation Center will be a major magnet for community health, recreation, wellness, equity, diversity, inclusion, all of the goals that we want to meet with this project. It is situated centrally adjacent to the what used to be known as the Vanderveer, now are the Farragut houses, or a site adjacent to public school on Nostrand Avenue, which is a major thoroughfare on Foster. And already you can see the influence that will have on the immediate community and the use of open space there. It abuts Little Haiti, Little Caribbean. It serves Flatbush, Flatland, South Midwood, West Woodwood, East Flatbush. And within a rich community, an active, vibrant community, it also proposes to expand on that community life. A community that is, in fact, reinventing itself as we speak. So, within the site's context, you can see within the Foster houses, the immediate context of the site, its openness, its flatness, its relative embrace with the existing architecture. And within the existing Nostrand playground, you can see how a former baseball and probably mini soccer field can be reimagined for a structure that completes this urban design. The site itself is, as I said, an open ball field on a relatively flat site with clear sight lines through, fronting the school. And one of its significant features that will be examined in the course of the design is actually the amount of enclosure, including fences everywhere on the site. Again, even with its adjacent neighboring, how the boundaries are defined are really critical to this project. Now, we wanted to make sure that in delivering this project, that we weren't paying lip service to Shirley Chisholm, but actually making sure that the principles for which she stood and the aims that she had for representing the African-American, Afro-Caribbean community and Caribbean community in Congress and as a presidential candidate, that these were the basis of the principles by which we approached the design.
I think this is working. So, thank you, Elizabeth. My name is Wes Walker, designer of this What Studio game. We are architects of the project was a great team, and also very excited to share with you today the concept for the architecture that's situated within the context that Elizabeth just described. So, working on a building in the New York City Park that's really meant to become a kind of welcoming community hub. We laid out a series of principles around durability, functionality, sensible sustainability, and zeroing in on the opportunity for this building to become really a very welcoming civic asset set within this park landscape that's able to negotiate a very context of housing, of school adjacent, of the park itself, and the different characters of the streets adjacent, and looking for the ways that we can design this to be assembled and constructed in a way that brings the best value to the public we're going to serve. So starting with the site strategy, we did look at a lot of different footprint approaches and ways of situating this building in the park. A big question is what's the front of this building? It's a mid-block site situated within this park. So these different sketches here from early in the process, we're just looking at which way should the building address as its primary front. And we kind of came to this this central green notion where the building could actually be facing all of these directions with some manipulations to the form. Programmatically, we looked at L shapes, we looked at the courtyard building, but where we landed was let's try to get the most compact footprint possible for this building, because in doing so we're able to preserve as much parkland as we can, and also the sense of porosity and the openness to the block, which is really key both in terms of a sense of inviting public space, but even for important security reasons in the sightline, people back to folks who want to kind of see where they're going and throughout the day. So the party here is organized around the two primary spaces of the building, which are the large pool space and a large gym space. Those are essentially side by side with the spine of support programs in the center that allow for easy access and use of those primary spaces. So the gym is actually sunken 1 story below, same level as the tunnel and support space beyond the pool. That's a double height space. Level 1, ground level, we have the track above the gym, so we're looking to avoid the gym below. The track is actually at ground level, and the pool is at ground level, and that is a double height space. Moving upstairs, fitness programs are concentrated on level 2, strength, cardio, and spin, locker rooms, and the dance area, and those are adjacent to the upper portion of the pool, which would be avoided this for. And then on top of the building, we have educational programs largely geared toward different age groups, but largely geared towards youth. Thinking about a way to give them secure outdoor space and a kind of secure space where they kind of take more ownership of it. Here's a very cartoony section diagram of how this works. The gym double height something below 1 floor, and the pool double height sitting up there. And level 3 is kind of a partial level. Program diagrams just kind of rehashing what I just said. So maybe I'll quickly move through these, but here. I'll hand it back to Elizabeth to describe a little more about the landscape design. Just a quick introduction to the site plan. Our building is compactly situated on this turf area here, and this is a proposed site plan and roof line survey, and we'll come back to this to expand it in more detail. Circulation key through the block. We have again, there's this building addressing multiple fronts. So this move and plan of peeling out the entry so that folks can see the entry from both the south area where we have vehicular drop-offs, bike rack, and some pedestrian access from this side, and then also from the north side from Foster Avenue, where we anticipate more folks coming in this direction, and specifically on foot. Most of the transit connections will be coming from the north, and then all the activity of this playground and sports area as well. So the building plan form is working to address those two approaches. All right, stepping through 4x4 now, I won't go through this in excruciating detail, but again, this is a lower level. We have a gymnasium. You can see the dash line of the track above. So this is a really interesting double height space. It's getting light down into it from above. Spine of service spaces, locker rooms, some storage and mechanical spaces, etc. Access from elevators. From this stair that turns the whole building, actually a sculptural stair that's going to be entry that services almost basement and 2. This is the ground level, the peel of the building out here, creating a vestibule and some transparency at the entry. Coming right into a lobby where you have sight lines into the pool space. The desk will be located here and staff areas adjacent to it, directly behind it. And then moving into this corridor, views right into the track space as you come. So from the lobby, you're going to have stair, pool, and gym all immediately visible to you. So we're feeling like this is a very user-friendly building in the sense that it's quite simple to navigate, but there's a lot happening inside of it. So moving up to the second floor, coming up the stair here, which basically winds its way around and becomes gets itself on top of the roof of the vestibule, let's say. Dance studio located at this corner, open to below space over the pool, and then this really interesting corridor space here with glass and transparency to establish views into these 3 different rooms for strength, cardio, and stay. Moving up to the roof level, the third level. This is where we have spaces for teaching kitchen, media, programming for teens and younger kids, and providing a secure roof space for youth here that's safely enclosed within a fence that still allows some transparency and views out. And this whole level is set back from the edges. It has a setback and slightly materiality to give the building a sense of slightly lower proportion that is we felt more appropriate for connecting it to the scale of its size. The green roof on top to the environmental requirements for the project and helping us a lot with our water management strategy. And I'll hand it back to Elizabeth now to discuss.
We're in the process of advancing the site development concept in such a way that the original party and ideas are melding with New York City Park standards. So there are aspects of the design that are in progress. I'll start with this lower corner. In recent updates, we're studying how use of the service court can be addressed so that we can preserve the full line of existing trees that is here and maintain the buffer with the residents. The area along Farragut Place is being refined so that there's more of a defined drop off. We have fire access challenges, and we're looking to make the site more efficient so that we can consolidate areas of impermeability and permeability to better address both the landscape needs, planting needs, and the stormwater management needs. So with that, there will be an anticipated change within this area. However, the main program elements that we have here are going to be further refined. We're in discussion with Parks about creating more of a direct entry and link to the school right here and how this changes this configuration, maintaining the throughput from all the way from Foster down to Farragut, making that a little bit clearer, but maintaining an open area of free play in front of the recreation center to, first of all, accommodate some of the kids as they're exiting, but also just restoring more of informally programmed play area in relationship to the recreation center. In repositioning many of the trees so that this is a lush, engaging context for the building, and picking up on how some of the architectural features and the amenities are extended outwards in a safe and consistent way. We're looking at the use of standard details and how that impacts these views and sense of openness and the plant material palette. You can see that that concept is sort of an advance and stronger, I would say. I don't want to say diagram of the cartoon, but I'll say that the stronger indication of circulation and more directional, building on some of the findings of the initial studies that were very early in the concept.
I think we'll just wrap up quickly here. I'll fly through these sections. This is section cut through the pool. You can see how the pool is interacting with the below grade excavation and basement spaces and these nice sculptural beams standing across the pool. Then coming through the gymnasium where we can see the sunken gymnasium with the landing track above it and provision for the beams as well as the basketball and ceiling mounted elements, cardio strength above. Here we're cutting through both the pool and the gymnasium, and you can see the after school space is set back on the top of the building. So we have kind of a building that feels like a two-story building, appears like a two-story building from many views, but it's actually 3 stories. Let's see, we're cutting through here. Just kind of north-south plane right past the east facade or the west facade of the building. And a few notes about our material approach and penetration approach to the building. We spent some time looking at this type of building in New York City. A very interesting set of buildings here that establish a kind of interesting material identity of masonry within the parks. Of course, we're surrounded by reform this particular site on all sides, but we thought it would be interesting and appropriate for this project to really explore the use of brick in a way that was familiar but contemporary. So thinking through ways to create openings and different types of windows in this building that are really related to the human body and the different movements that are facilitated by the programs in this building. Thinking about lower windows that provide sightlines for folks who are swimming in a pool. Thinking about windows that are related to different heights in a room that correspond to the different heights and elements of the given body. So as we move space by space in the building, we started to think about using this vocabulary of masonry arching to establish these different window types, in addition to a kind of rhythm of more vertically oriented windows that create an interesting pattern or like staccato texture around the building. So you'll see these different window types playing together in some of the elevations here. We have these lower forward arch windows, we have these taller arch windows at the entry that form corners, which are really important elements of the building, addressing its surroundings. These are happening on important corners for signaling important approaches. These tall strip windows are including a spandrel panel at the top. There was a question about that, so the visible window portion is here. We're working on the detail of that, but some sort of spandrel panel that will cover the floor deck, but still give the full vertical expression of the window, which we think is quite beautiful and nice visibility and a really nice proportion. And then the level 3, a more kind of a less heavy, more glassy expression on the top of the building. These 3 windows here are a special moment in the dance studio where we were interested in giving openings at different heights for that one as the dancers would be moving inside this. Here you can see the general palette. We have primarily brick. We're imagining that would be integrated with a precast panel system, so brick-based precast. Very efficient and materially efficient and schedule efficient way of constructing a building on the site in the city. Glass glazing and aluminum framing system. And certain moments we're able to either expose the precast, as lining around the arches or as coping at the top of the facade. So the construction system is expressed and made visible. It's not trying to look like it's not trying to look like a load bearing into the building. It is not that, but it is a more kind of contemporary way of placing brick on the building. So allowing us to do all these different types of things. Finishing with a set of renderings here. This is what I was mentioning with the kind of visible precast edges that we're thinking about. With the The building kind of presents a lot of variety, but the forms are related basically all to each other in groups of arches or vertical strips. In particular, we're excited about these low windows around the base of the building that are letting us establish portals for natural light to come in, but meeting one of the goals that Parks at Outpost, which is to really think about security of this building and to make sure that folks do not feel like they're in a fishbowl. That this is the kind of building where people just walk up and stare inside of every room. So we really tried to calibrate the size and position of the openings to negotiate those important back and forth between the need for transparency and lightness and inviting sense with the need for security. And where we're able to have a little bit of those, we're providing those mostly. So this is a view from Farragut. This is kind of the southern approach to the building. This is more of an elevational view that you would see if you're walking on the path adjacent to the school. Across that lawn that Elizabeth was describing, we're providing a shade element, this blade, a shade element that goes right along the four-plate of level 2. And then this is the approach from the north, where the keel out of the building here is highlighting the entrance vestibule there, and you can see here how the forms of the landscape plan and the ground plane and on the building vertically are interacting together in a really nice way. I will finish with consent for art. We've been moving through the building and trying to identify the right spaces to integrate art. And so this is just some of our initial thoughts about that. Art in the park, the lobby provides some interesting verticality that could be a good spot for art. The pool has some very large walls that could be quite interesting as those in the fitness. And then there could be additional sculpture or outdoor art opportunities on the roof as well. And with that, I think we are done. So thank you very much and happy to just give it.
Okay, commissioners, questions, comments, thoughts? Conceptual review, right?
I'm really glad that this project is happening, Brooklyn. I agree. I think it's necessary in the neighborhood. Sorry. I'm excited about the project. I have a question about, I know that you said you were studying the school entry and connection to the space. I would like you to continue to do that. Is there a way for there to be more of a walkway, or is that specifically, you know, did you want it to just sort of be a buffer space so that people can't directly go into it? Or is there, you know, is it a type of?
We are studying ways to make the connection direct.
Okay.
And with that also, actually, I would say isolating this line of trees so that this green space is separated by a second path.
Okay.
Here. We have some concerns about how and whether the school property will actually be secured. The questions haven't been fully answered yet. Right now, the school perimeter is very porous, so I'm not sure that an additional fence is necessary. You know, I work with SCA properties. We usually do have to have that, but in this instance, this is not here. Just for historical context, this was a demapped street, and this was actually the entrance to the school. So in a way, fencing it is sort of like a defensive gesture that we don't necessarily want to introduce. But what we're looking at, because this area has to be developed also for fire egress, and because we're now studying consolidating all of the impermeable area over a utility easement, a DEP easement, to expand permeability here, which might be planting. We are creating a throughput here.
Okay.
And the path, and probably reconfiguring the green space, incorporating the trees, because we're also looking at stormwater SMPs, opportunities using that existing line of trees.
Can I ask, it's a beautiful design, so thank you, but can I ask how many floors or how many steps are there from the entrance of the pool to the locker rooms? Because it looked like those were separated.
So there's multiple sets of block rooms in the building.
Okay,
So we'll start at A, which is the level actually where it's situated. So this direct entry pool will not be used very frequently, it's when we know the running through. Folks that are using the pool will move, they'll come down the corridor and move through the changing facilities here and up to the pool deck this way.
Okay.
There's another set of restrooms, some operators ground level, which is the level of the medium. So if we're playing basketball, et cetera, we would probably use these. Staffing, the funding is generally staffing. And then moving up to level 2 now, and straight above, we have another set of changing the locker rooms and restrooms. And there's some more level as well. So they're distributed throughout the building, but the ones at this level, if you will, are specifically designed for folks to come in and leave wet, and the other direction come out and leave dry. So they're integrated with lockers and shower facilities, and lockers are kind of designed in wet areas, dry areas, and keeping that conservation.
I know this can be uncertain, but you have responded to a number of the comments made earlier, and they are quite good, I think. But you still have indicated that you are working on a number of important questions, including, I think, the seating and more, and then on the question of the percent for art, there seem to be quite a few locations potentially available. When does that occur? And is there that's my second question, a collaboration among the users, the designers, and percent for art? Is there money? When does all of that happen, and how is that integrated in the completion of the design for the building and the entrances and exits that you are now, I hope, completing? So it's two different things, but related. You are very responsive, and you have more to do. You've said that, and it's a big and it's a terrific, just a wonderful project that even in my late time, I began to read it last night and felt this is terrific. Do you have the funding? Can you be doing this? Is there integration of all of the people who are designing? Is it going to be 3 years to your knowledge, or 2? And then secondly, the place of percent for art and what it seems to be many different proposals for art, and who would be involved in that?
Okay, so, thank you. A couple questions there, and I might ask for some assistance from folks at TDC if possible. But generally, we are here today with a conceptual submission, and we have, you're right, we've identified kind of a wide swath of opportunities for integrating art and building, and we'll narrow those down as we move through the process and really think about the high impact, high potential spots, and I'll be part of our next presentation for you.
Okay.
But I mean, pass it over to Jackie if you want to say that.
Thank you.
Sure, I just like that in case we'll use a microphone.
Hi, I'll just say, my name is Daphne Lasky. I'm the project manager with DDC, and I'll just say briefly that the percent for art orientation with the artists is scheduled for Thursday this week. We have 4 to 6 finalists from DCLI, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing how they react to the different options for locations and really getting into that process with them.
Thank you.
And then a question about schedule, design schedule. We're progressing through the design and are very comfortable to be able to address these comments and advance the design appropriately with the schedule we have. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what the milestone dates are, but we are we're moving quickly, but we're carving out enough time in this design phase to address all these things quickly. So we're not I think we'll be able to do that some level for the next. Is that hopefully that's a specific?
Thank you.
Any other questions or
I think it is important for you guys to consider the art impact in the space, whether it's tile work, whether it's work that's on the floor on the exterior. There's like lighting opportunities, electric light and work that way, or permanent physical sculptures in the exterior of the plan. I'm glad that there aren't a lot of fences or fencing involved, because I think that it was a concern in terms of making it central and approachable from all spaces. I think it would be a good idea to also study the lighting and what the lighting effects are at night. And in terms of like what the light usage for the pool and all these other areas, what that would look like from the outside, from all surrounding entrance spaces. And it would be a good idea to also just see what it looks like from different housing areas, like what is the point of view of your neighbors and community, how that would, how they would know what this facility is and whether it is approachable. And I think that would, really impact the community and make them feel like this is for them.
On the lighting topic, we have to get started on, but one thing that I think is going to be particularly nice here is the building's light still is going to illuminate the cloud. So these windows they have a function inside out, but also sorry, outside in, but also inside out. These illuminated spaces are going to be illuminating plant material on ground plate on the whole exterior building, which is quite different than a lot of these masonry buildings that you see where the openings are happening maybe until 6, 7, 8 feet above your head, typically in the fitness space. So that's one idea that we're looking at.
Question about this rendering. So that darkness under the middle part, is that shadow or is that a kind of?
Yes.
This is shadow. So the mixed plane is.
Yeah, and it helps you can see this.
I like the, the contrast between the two, window shapes, the arcs and the, the staccato windows. And, I like how that plays with the, the conventions of, the building type that you're looking at. So I think that gives it a kind of strong identity in reference to what you're talking about, Mary. That there is there's a uniqueness or identifier for the building that's also, part of the building facade itself. So
I guess
think
in
that works well.
your next approach, I would like to see the vantage point from the street, from all those entrance ways, and how lighting changes and shifts the perspective of someone walking to that space.
Sure, yes, we started that here. So this is from the south. Where we imagine most vehicular drop off will take place. We will be updating, as Elizabeth mentioned, the landscape, so we have some updates to make here. But we are already starting to work on these kind of in that way, where we have the southern approach, elevation of view more from the school, and then the northern approach, which would be after the eastern space, kind of right after you pass by the sports place in the air building. And this move of the scallop, as we call it, scalloping out of the school from the building, we think is working well for us to give the building a civic stature, a public stature, interesting scale of entry and inviting more there. So those are some of the conceptual ideas that we'll be developing more into.
Two of our commissioners couldn't be here today and they relayed their comments. I'm going to ask them now. Deborah, she requested that the team clarify site planning wise, how the congestion will be handled at the building entrance and how the loading area will be screened and how Farragut Place can be further enhanced as the primary vehicular drop-off location.
So thank you for reminding me of those comments. Elizabeth spoke to ongoing developments around the loading area and some additional trees that will be shown there. And I agree with the comment that the curvatures around the entry and plan are real tight right now. So we'll take a look at that and optimize that to make sure there's no generous space in the ground where that's every entry. That was a big comment. So that will be part of our
Thank you. And there was a second part to that. She asked what the hours of operation would be for the adjacent park and how the building is accessed when the park is closed.
The park is open until 9 p.m. I believe it's AM to 9 p.m. Sorry, what was the second one?
The
Oh,
building,
building hours?
how the building would be accessed when the park is closed. Or would it be accessed at all? Because the building is closed too.
Yes.
Sure, again. I'm not necessarily the public manager of parks. The existing park is operated from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. It's not locked up. So there's that existing closed street which connects the two Farragut Place to Foster Avenue is open. So it is possible to circulate through that. The hours of the park are posted at all the entrances and they will be updated once we work out. We haven't yet worked out the operational hours of the new center, but once we have done that, we will update the signage around the park to make that evident. And in the event that there is something happening at the center that maybe goes past 9 p.m., you will be able to circulate from the building out through the site to the north to Foster Avenue or to the south to Farragut Place, because those entrances will never be locked.
Thank you. And lastly, as you continue to explore wayfinding and site navigation for residents in the community at large, and Deborah also asked about fence heights and types. To just continue the.
Yes, we owe you a fence diagram and next submission, so we'll provide that. And we're still hashing that out, but as soon as we mentioned, the goal is to really maximize porosity and minimize the fence elements. To really make this building feel like it's sitting in a public space as opposed to carved out of the park. That's it. So we're really excited to how this project can actually improve the welfare of the park and that way, and make the whole site feel much more accessible.
Perfect. And Ken Seth, who's also unable to be here today, just asked two questions. You've already clarified your rationale for brick and arched windows. He also asked how you integrated sustainability, including natural ventilation and lighting.
Yes. We are really growing it as a sustainability strategy for this building. It is in terms of energy, in terms of resources, in terms of water management, in terms of combining carbon, we're looking to integrate timber elements, we're looking to create assemblies that are as efficient as possible. So that's something that our firm is really dedicated to, and something that we feel is absolutely essential for a public building that serving the public needs to create a decent environment as possible the way it's possible. So that's just kind of a philosophical statement about it, but we're very serious about that topic. With regards to the specific question about ventilation, that's kind of on a space by space basis. So the spaces like the college and have very specific ventilation needs, not necessarily aligned with operable vents, but for some of the other rooms that are more kind of heating scale rooms, let's say a teaching kitchen, a study room, we will be providing operable vents there, and those are often situated in those more strip windows that are more of a manageable scale to open. So the building absolutely will have like a ventilation where we can provide it, and when it's possible to do so without undermining the energy strategy for the building, which we've been kind of working on to sustainability strategy.
Thank you. That is all.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Great. Appreciate it.
Yes.
What? We're not approving, but we're approving the consent agenda. That's all.
Yes.
This is just a committee. Items 319 to 3. My second to last, yeah. Moving on. We are now commencing the public meeting with a consent agenda. Items number 28319 to 28352. Are there any recusals to note? I'll let the record show there are no other recusals. I'll now call for the vote. Commissioners, when I call your name, please state your vote for the consent agenda. Karen,
Approve all.
Manuel,
Approval.
Susan,
Approval.
Ethel,
Approval.
Merrill,
Approval.
Mary,
Approve all.
and I also vote to approve all. Let the record show the vote in favor was unanimous. The consent agenda is approved. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. So fun.